North Charleston City Councilwoman Virginia Jamison is still fighting for a sound barrier in her district. I talked one-on-one with the Councilwoman about the latest on her efforts for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. North Charleston City Councilwoman Virginia Jamison, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin. I'm always blessed to be in your presence, and we always have a lot to talk about.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. And speaking of a lot to talk about, here we sit in District 3, which you represent and have represented for many, many years. And I know the big issue you've been talking about now for the past 13 years has been about the noise coming specifically from I-26.
Yes, Quintin.
You have been fighting hard for a sound barrier since 2010. What is the biggest difference from 2010 to right now when you think of this?
Well, Quintin, the last 8 years, me being on City Council has been a plus because I have gone up and down the gamut, looking, meeting, ingratiating people that would talk to me about noise reduction in this corridor. And in the past 2 years, I've really gotten the attention of the Secretary of SCDOT, Ms. Christy Hall, Secretary Hall, and she has been a pioneer for getting us a grant, getting us some financial support, and getting the noise wall that we have fought so hard for.
What is that grant money right now?
Well, the grants are through the President Joe Biden's infrastructure building program. It's been out for the past 2 years, 3 years. They've done a lot of great things. This is going to be the second time that we have applied for a grant. First, we applied under the Bill grant, and then we found this grant. We did not get the first grant, but we got a lot of good marks, so we're in the right place. And then we found out about reconnecting communities, a grant again by the Joe Biden administration infrastructure direction, and it is absolutely perfect for what we're trying to do. Again, whenever you get a grant, Quintin, it's always the local population has to buy into that grant. Sometimes it's 5%, sometimes it's 10%, depending on the project.
Right.
And we ran into some problems with getting some sponsors, but then Secretary Hall saw the need. She came down several times to different events, and she said, Councilwoman, I know exactly what you're talking about. And we did the noise study like in 2017. We did some other things in 2018, and we have the data. We have the data. The noise that we're experiencing, the increase in traffic on I-26, the opening of the Hugh Leatherman terminal, the Wando terminal that has just grown exponentially, and even our South Carolina ports have grown tremendously. So we need this. And Quintin, as I am saying to everybody that I've met along the way, if not now, then when?
How particularly is this particular grant reconnecting your community?
Well, it's reconnecting our neighborhood because right now, Quintin, the noise has everybody like in the house, not really coming out for anything except for some yard work. Most of the people in this street have hired contractors to do their yard work even. So we used to be a community where we would meet at somebody's yard and kind of hang out for a little while, have a conversation. We can't do that anymore. We have a lot of senior citizens. We have a lot of senior citizens that purposefully bought these homes so that they can't age in place. So they would have easy access. As you can see, these are single level homes.
Right.
Walk up, no stairs, no steps, no grab bar.
Right. And you talk about obviously aging in place. So how many senior citizens are in this district right now?
Well, I want to tell you, they're the majority. That population, that age group, are the majority in District 3. In this community, which is Northwood Estates, right on down the road, we have Park Hill, we have New Rider Road, we have the Bentwood area, which is a part of Northwoods, right on over. These are senior citizens.
Wow.
We do have a new group of people coming into the communities. Again, they're smaller children, not school age yet, but we're seeing that influx, and I'm sure that it's going to be a combination of people in the community that really need a good night's sleep. For whatever they're going to do, they really need to have a good night's sleep. And we've not had a good night's sleep in a long time.
Wow.
And there's so many health issues that's connected, Quintin, to noise.
Yes, ma'am.
Sleep deprivation is the primary thing. Sleep deprivation causes so many challenges for that person that has not gotten a good night's sleep. Not only for our senior citizens, but our people that are shift workers, our children that didn't sleep well last night, that are going to get up and go to school the next morning. These issues are what causes our problems in our failing schools.
Now, Councilwoman, as we sit here right now, what issues have been contributed to as far as health issues since this noise has been in this area?
Well, I think that we have seen an increase in hypertension. We have seen an increase in just the major things that happen to people. We've seen a lot of cardiovascular problems. We've seen some kids with that problem at that school. We have Title I schools here in District 3, so we know about what causes. It's socioeconomic, but it's also livability and quality of life.
So what exactly is the quality of life right now here?
Well, Quintin, I want to tell you that it's not a happy camper for us. And again, I have lived in this community since 1985. This was my place. Front yard, people are congregating. Backyard, people are congregating, and I don't have that anymore. I miss that. I miss sitting on my neighbor's back porch just to have a conversation.
Sure.
I miss walking down this street without being interrupted with a jake brakesing of a truck that's going too fast anyway, and he has to use these emergency brakes, and it screeches, I know, for a good 3 minutes, the jake brakesing. And again, the corridor is full.
Right.
Somebody's speeding, and then you have the jake brakesing. So it's not been a happy time. You could see people come out late evening to cut their grass.
Sure.
People avoid going out in the mornings. They avoid. They're like locked in their homes. It was a good thing we were locked out of our homes because of the summer weather, but that's not a good feeling to have. It causes a lot of stressors.
Wow. And so how many people in your district live in this noise zone?
I would say in the district, there's about 500 homes. Now, if that's not the total district that's in the noise zone. 500 homes. If there's 2.5 persons in each of those homes, well, the math is there.
Yes, ma'am. Tell me, how many trucks and cars that actually pass this version of I-26 each day?
Every truck, every car that's going westbound in the evenings, eastbound in the mornings, to the port, to Wando Terminal,
Right.
to Hugh Leatherman,
Sure.
they pass this corridor.
Right.
For instance, this morning I was out at about 8:30.
Yes, ma'am.
And not only was everything jammed up, I mean, it was stop and go traffic the whole time, but there were at least 2 wrecks in the corridor from the 52 connector going eastbound
Yes, ma'am.
to Montague. So there is a problem. We have grown our city exponentially. We have grown every place. We have Nexton up the road. There's most of the employers are working at Boeing.
Yes, ma'am.
We have Mercedes right over on the Palmetto Commerce Interchange.
Right.
That people are driving from Nexton. So there are a lot of factors that were not considered for the kind of growth that we're experiencing. The infrastructure did not keep up. A barrier wall was not put in place to give us our quality of life.
What is the growth rate right now in your district?
Well, right now I think we just did a redistricting,
Right.
so that has kind of changed the people in the district.
Yes, ma'am.
And we have added to District 3, we have added more apartment complexes, and these people are very transient. So that is a misnomer, I think, that the census don't take an account for, because they're here today and they're gone tomorrow. We may be looking at them for an election process for voting, but they're not here because they left before the process happened.
Right.
So this is a transient district right now with the redrawing of the lines.
Wow.
And I can tell you that I think District 3 was not served well in the redrawing of the lines.
And with those redrawing of the lines, how many people in the district did you all lose?
Well, we gained about 1,000 and some people. Each district contains about 10,000 people. So we went from 10,000 to 11,000 people. So we gained 1,000 people. But are these homeowners? Are they transient? Are they voters? That's not something that is identified in the census.
Wow. And what else was left out in the census that would help with getting a sound barrier?
Well, I don't know if that's a census problem. I know that they are looking at the number of people, and to be fair, as far as a lot of factors.
Yes, ma'am.
What did not happen was the planning of the growth in our city, and our infrastructure not being updated. A lot of people think that the only thing is infrastructure, roads and sewer and those things. That's not true. The accommodation that people need for livability, roads, safety modalities, those are the things that are needed in times like these when they're growing exponentially. We've really got to do a survey.
And I want to ask you, as a matter of fact, what environmental assessment has been done in the past 10 years?
Well, I've sat on City Council for 8 years,
Yes, ma'am.
Quintin, and that has been one of my calls every time. Now the staff is saying, yes, Ms. Jamison, you've said it. Yes, Ms. Jamison, you've said it. But we need to do a livability study. We need to look at how people are living in the city of North Charleston. We need to look at how the traffic comes through the city of North Charleston. We need to look at, are we safe? If we're having 5 accidents on I-26 every day, what does that say, Quintin? We're overcrowded. It's not safe anymore. And until we get to that point of putting our residents our homeowners, our seniors, our young school children back into this equation, it's not going to be a happy place. It's not going to be a great place to work, live, and play.
What else needs to be in this equation to make a ideal livability study for your district as well as the rest of the city?
Well, again, all of those points that we just talked about. Safety. We need to look at overcrowding of communities. We need to look at code enforcement and zoning. All of those things go to livability. If you've got 5 car wash in a 2-mile radius, is that overcrowding one particular entity? So it has to be looked at from the need of the people living in these areas.
So what does your district need versus what your district wants?
Well, right now, all we talk about and all I've talked about, noise reduction.
Yes, ma'am.
In this corridor. That is paramount. The other thing we need increase of police presence in these residential communities. The people need to understand that the police is trying to be proactive, Quintin. Reaction doesn't get it anymore. Proactivity is needed. We need to look at the grocery stores. We need to look to see, are we doing nurturing things? Are we doing nourishing things? And when we select businesses to come to our area. The other thing is paramount, and I'm not running for office, Quintin, you know that, so.
Why not re-election? Why now, Ms. Jamison?
That is a hard question, Quintin, but I will tell you that I have been a service person all of my life, and I always try to give 100%. And I'm at a place in my life wherein I feel that maybe I could do better as an advocate that's not connected to government, as a private citizen trying to make a difference. There are a lot of things that I still have to do, and I know that I will get that time to do it, or at least make a difference.
Now, with your couple of months left on city council, as you bow and say goodbye to the citizens of the city, what exactly do you need to do right now for them?
Right now, Quintin, what would really make my constituents so happy and make me elated is to get this grant approved. Get this grant approved. And from what I understand and speaking with my contact at SCDOT, it's almost shovel ready. And that's really, really important. So if it's almost shovel ready, meaning that they have the design, meaning that they have the cost, meaning that a contractor is maybe ready to go to work. I sure hope that's right. If that happens, Quintin, I think that it would just make my day. It would make the citizens so happy. District 3 residents would be so happy. Not a day go by that somebody just said, Ms. Jamison, I hope you get that sound barrier. Well, no, I hope we get the sound barrier. This is not about me. This is just one thing that's been on my plate for too long. And if not now, when?
And of course, you talk to the people a lot. So what noise abatement study should be done for this particular project?
Well, we've already done the abatement study. We already know that the noise is there. We already know that the negative impact of noise. We already know everything we need to know. Now we need the money to make this happen.
What sponsors do you need now?
Well, from what I understand from SCDOT right now, whatever the buy-in is, when you get a grant, you may have to do a buy-in of 5% or whatever the percentage is. But I have a commitment from Secretary Hall through my point of contact at SCDOT saying they are covering the buy-in.
Wow.
And I am, again, Quintin, I cannot tell you what this means to the people in District 3. That Secretary Hall, with all of the things they have going on, and you see they're resurfacing more and they're doing a little bit better in all of the resurfacing projects, so that's a plus. But for her to say, we have the buy-in, it really means a lot. A lot of people are talking about it. The COG representative on our committee is talking about it, and they are strongly supporting it. There's something in the legality that says they cannot financially support this, but we got the support now.
Sure.
If we get the grant of $15 million and somebody has to pay $5 million, it's nothing. The government, our state has a surplus. Our state just spent $700 million on pork barrel spending. Pork barrel is something that you used to hear a long time ago, specifically with certain elected officials. But pork barrel are wants, not needs. And I don't understand it.
And why didn't any of the state representatives or senators put that in their pork barrel and say, hey, this is what we need for District 3?
Well, I will certainly contact Senator Kimpson, former Senator Kimpson. I will certainly be talking to J.A. Moore, House Representative. I will certainly be talking to and have been talking to Marvin Pendarvis, State Representative. Dion Tedder has just applauded our efforts, and he said, Ms. Jamison, we're going to do this. They've written letters of support, and Quintin, I could not be happier. But now we just need that reviewer, that group of people that sits to review these grants, to say we got to do this. And I think our verbiage is stronger this time. I think we have really gotten a lot of support from, again, the COG, the Council of Governors.
Right.
Senator Sandy Sin, she was right on it. She sent this letter. We need to do this. The one thing that happens in SCDOT with the federal highway, the monies come from the federal government to care for these interstates.
And I was wondering,
Yes,
ma'am, and I was wondering, does the noise level exceed certain limits outlined by the federal government?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It exceeds it by so much until when the wall is built, it has to be higher to meet the standards of the Federal Highway Administration. But let me say this.
Yes, ma'am.
There are monies that come from the federal government for maintaining the roads and for building new roads.
Sure.
Okay. Normally, if they're going to build a new road like they're going to be doing for the 526, normally that would noise barrier, and the people in Mount Pleasant are fighting for it. It will be a part of that money. Okay. So that's guaranteed. But since we're already here, since the noise barrier was not done, even back in 1978, now we're considered Part B monies. Monies without having a road project involved in it. This is a standalone project.
I see.
So those are the kind of things that our ordinary citizens are not understanding, and I tell you, I've learned a lot since I came to this table, and I'm glad I came to the table so I would have all of these resources.
You talk about those resources, so what was the verbiage in the past that failed as far as you all getting the sound barrier?
I really don't know. As I sit here,
Yes, ma'am.
I have 7 pages of people that we have contacted over the last, since September 2010. And if you would look at this, every possible name, Senator DeMint,
Right.
Senator Graham, our person, Vic Rawl, Paul Campbell, Jim Newsom. I don't think I missed a soul. Administrator Jennifer Miller. We've spoken with the Charleston delegation. We have done anything. We made inquiries when people were getting sound barriers as a part of a road construction, Part A money, and that's when we learned that they're Part A and Part B money. Live 5 News did a continued interview with Virginia Jamison with focus on what happens next and what happens when we open the Hugh Leatherman terminal. I went to Columbia at 7 o'clock in the morning for a 9 o'clock meeting with the commissioners,
Right.
the SCDOT commissioners. And I think that after that meeting, then things really started rolling. And I applaud them for listening and for hearing and for acting.
And speaking of hearing, Councilwoman Jamison, are there any new noise receptor placements already placed in your district?
No. When we did a carry-on study from the 2018, they did place some receptors, and it was the same thing. The noise exceeded the guidelines of the Federal Highway Administration. Exceeded.
Right. Right. What else do you want right now in order to speed this up as far as the grants and the sponsorships?
Well, I think we have everything in line. Letters are coming in every day, letters of support. I was just on the phone. No, I was on email with Representative Pendavis, Representative Tedder.
Sure.
They are all working, behind the scenes. I just know that I think people realize now this has gone on too long, and we need to handle it.
Hey, Ms. Jamison, Councilwoman Jamison, excuse me, did you receive any, did the mayor of North Charleston, Keith Summey, write a support letter for this?
Well, I'll tell you, Quintin, the first grant that we applied for, I was very taken aback by the behavior of my city, the city of my birth. But then I went after it a different way, and after SCDOT said that they were going to pay any buy-in that we need for this grant, I did get a letter this time, the last couple of days, from Mayor Summey supporting us in this quality of life issue. And again, I just want to tell everybody thank you so much for all that you will do to continue our efforts on getting noise reduction in our corridor. It's been a long time. A lot of people are aging in place. A lot of people need that livability that they can walk on their back porch to drink a cup of coffee, or they can walk in their yard just to see how the plants are doing today. Yes. So these are things that are very important to me. And I know about livability and quality of life, Quintin, because the worst thing that ever happened to me is that I was sent to Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, and it took me out of my comfort level. I really had to pray hard on rehabilitating myself after staying in Dhahran, where we had nothing.
Wow.
We got nothing.
How have you rehabilitated yourself with all of this noise around here?
Well, and again, I'm probably few and far between, and I did, look around for noise reduction windows, and several of my neighbors did it at a cost that was so high, but we did it. We spend a lot of time indoors, spend a lot of time working, reading knowledge, trying to gain knowledge to navigate to where we are right now.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's been a plus.
Wow. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to interview you again. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, Quintin, there's one thing that I'm really working on, and I'm really, really committed to this in the city of my birth and in the place of my birth, the Liberty Hill community. And again, we have pushed the ball down the road quite a bit in the last 2 years. And I see these young people working. We have the new generation of young men who are very interested in getting Liberty Hill back to where it was, a livability community, self-sustaining, and with a lot of quality things. Wish we could get Bonds Wilson High School back, wish we could get the Liberty Hill Elementary School back, but we know that's not going to happen. But we're going to have some things in place that's going to be a plus for the Liberty Hill community.
And coming back to District 3, what other things you have in place to make this community more prosperous in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, and again, I have been so busy looking at what's happening in I-26
Right,
Quintin,
right.
and I'm sure that the next leadership will come up with some things that's going to make this place a special place. These homes were built in the early 50s, and it was totally connected to the Charleston Air Force Base and to the Navy shipyard. And this community was one of those hidden jewels in the city of North Charleston. And you could see the size of the homes, you could see the yards that's around that. And thank you for sitting outside. So this was one of those special communities. We're seeing some decline with renters, and I have nothing against renters. I want them to be taught and how to maintain their yards and their homes to the level that's acceptable within the Northwoods community and the District 3.
And so now, since you mentioned that, I got to ask you this. What's the biggest difference? How many renters do you have versus homeowners in this district?
Well, it's really hard to count because we have like workforce houses, we have family houses where there's about 8 people living in one house, and it's really hard for our zoning person to really check it because these people go to work with their 5 trucks in the morning, and after the zoning crew is gone, then they're coming back. So it's really hard unless something drastic happened in that house or in that apartment. We can't really identify these people.
Well, then, Councilwoman Jamison, what zoning laws need to be restructured?
Well, and again, this would happen. We would restructure a lot of things if we did that livability study, if we did that quality of life study, if we look at the things that we need for livability and quality of life, then that new study would identify those things. Enforcement of our codes for livability and quality of life, and that's what makes it, Quintin. If you see blight every morning that you walk out of your home, the little kids going to school, they're angry, they're upset. Why do I have to live like this? You know, it's conditioning. And so that's what we got to look at. Trash piled up, trash not picked up, people not putting their trash out on the day that it's supposed to, or taking their trash receptacles back from the street. This morning, as I was leaving and returning, our trash was picked up Wednesday and Thursday, but trash receptacles were on the road, on the street, not on the curb, but on the street. Speeders, people that are not looking out for the way we do things in an R1 community. We cut the grass, we do all of these things. We may just, the lawnmower, to really make it look even, we may pull out into the road. And I have that problem every day. So those are the things. Education, do some of those public service announcement, identifying what the concerns are in our community.
Where in this district, District 3, Councilwoman, do you identify where workforce housing could be added to?
Well, workforce housing could be added in a lot of different ways. Not so much apartment complexes, but we need to have single-family homes to keep this community up. When you build apartments and you've not done anything with the infrastructure, the roads, the drainage, over in Deer Park, they still have drain ditches. So those are things that need to change before we add any more apartment complexes to District 3.
Councilwoman Virginia Jamison, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you so much, Quintin, and please join me in really thinking hard about this Reconnecting Community grant that Secretary Christy Hall has worked so diligently with us on. We're going to have a party and we're going to invite you when we get that okay, like we're doing this. And you know, we really need to do it. If not now, when? If not now, when?
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.